and support. What kind of words of encouragement can you give my brothers and sisters here in Tulsa to how we can just pull together and make things happen so we can get that back or get some of it back, if anything, to be able to show to the young folks this is how you do it.
Right. Well, it's very important, you know, that we learn how to work together and support each other and network. I mean, there's too much to the divide is already pretty wide, you know, and it's hanging on by a thread, especially with a lot of young musicians who didn't come up in our bands. I mean, on a musical level, back in the day, you know, it was my goal to actually play with Miles Davis and Cannonball and Dexter Gordon, all the old original, Dizzy Gillespie, all those people. I didn't want to just hear their records. That was wonderful. I wanted to touch them. I wanted to sit down on a couch and say, talk to me, you know, and pass that thing down to me. That's part of an African tradition, is passing down those messages and those stories, and that's history, you know. And so I wanted to feel and touch it, so it would actually almost like osmosis just come inside me, you know. And so unfortunately, because of the way things went with these machines and everything, which in a lot of ways I was partly responsible for bringing it in, because a lot of machines started right around the time I came up. But at a certain point, some of that got lost because the musicians went off and did things by themselves. They didn't play in groups, or they didn't play in our band, so they didn't get that thing. So they're trying to get it by listening to records and sampling, and it's a little different, you know. But in terms of you guys here in Tulsa, I think the only thing I can say is that the realization of what history brings is very important of what you're going to do in the future. Like you said, as I said in that song, you can't know where you're going till you know where you've been. Otherwise, you're kind of just flailing around out there. I mean, you got to pull together and show these young kids how it's supposed to be done, because they won't know if you don't tell them, and you got to tell them. And you can't just leave it up to them to find out, because it just makes it difficult. It's not that they don't have the talent, and it's not that y'all don't have the talent. It's just it's got to be put to use. You know, and that takes a lot of focus and takes a lot of inner strength to say, I'm going to do this, you know. And that's tough. You know, even when I was young, I was afraid, you know, when I was 21, 22, I was not quite sure I could make a living doing what I'm doing. It's very tough making that decision. Am I in the same league with those guys who are my contemporaries? You know, and that was always that question in the back of my mind, you know. And eventually I had somewhere, you know, I said, okay, either I'm going to do this or I'm not. And you don't stick your foot in the door. I mean, you might stick your foot in the door and peek around the corner and see what's over there and say, I can do this. And once you get that confidence that I can do it, it requires a lot of things. It can be prayer, it can, you know, knowing your craft before you go in, knowing something about the business, what the pitfalls are, and then you take your whole body through the door. You can't half step. You got to go.
You got to just snatch it.
Got to go. Confidence.
Thanks a lot.
All right,
man. Really appreciate it.
All right, Kevin. Thank you, man. You the man.
You the man. You know,